Papa, Papa, I want to go home. Papa, please take me home. That's a verse. And the second verse is, Mama, Mama, Daddy stopped breathing. Mama.
Who are you
Mama.
talking about, though?
I'm talking about children dying under the rubble, murdered by the state
What about
of
the
Israel.
children who were killed at the music festival?
Oh my God, there were definitely music festivals goes killed. I feel for them.
Well, 364 were killed.
Hang on a minute. There's 100,000. There's 40,000 under the rubble at least.
I'm just asking because
it's a false equivalent.
I'm not equivalating anything.
You are. You're trying to suggest.
No, here's why I've mentioned it. Is that Bono from U2 introduced his song Pride in the Name of Love at the Sphere in Vegas.
I know.
And he said, in light of what's happened in Israel and
The
Gaza.
Stars of David.
Wait a minute. In the light of what's happened in Israel and Gaza, a song about non-violence seems somewhat ridiculous, even laughable. But our prayers have always been for peace and for non-violence. But our hearts and our anger, you know where that's pointed. So sing with us and those beautiful kids of that music festival. He later referred to those killed by Hamas that day at the festival as Stars of David. Now, you responded on Al Jazeera by saying anyone who knows Bono should go and pick him up by his ankles and shake him until he stops being an enormous shit.
That was actually a very disgusting moment from Piers Morgan, and I'm going to explain to you why. So George Waters here was talking about the Palestinian kids that are under the rubble. We don't even know them yet. We know for a fact that there's dead bodies under all of that rubble, probably 40,000, as what George Waters said in here, probably more. And Piers Morgan totally just says, well, whatever, let's just talk about the Israeli kids that died in the concert. And no one said anything about them. Everyone feels for them. At least they're acknowledged human beings. We don't even know the people that died under the rubble right now. And it's just disgusting. I mean, look at the numbers, 300 on one side, 40,000 plus, 100,000 plus on the other side. It's disgusting, Piers Morgan. And he's saying it just because he doesn't want to get canceled. It's a false equivalency. I totally agree. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel. It will get this video out to a bigger audience. Yeah, this was a great interview by Roger Waters, who I believe is one of the lead lyricists for Pink Floyd.
You have to start saying to these people, your opinion is so disgusting and so degrading, sticking up for the Zionist entity.
Yes.
What he did a couple of weeks ago in the Sphere in Vegas, singing about the Stars of David, was one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
How do you justify that? All he was doing was paying a tribute to young music lovers at a music festival who happened to be Jewish. And the Star of David is the emblem of a Jewish person.
You're on your own.
I'm not on my own.
Yes, you are.
Why? I don't understand why you'd be so hateful to Bono.
Yeah. Nice try, Piers.
Why were you so hateful?
It's none of your business.
You said it publicly on TV.
All right. So
It's hardly private, is it?
I was a bit upset. I'm watching a genocide. I wake up in tears every morning.
Yeah, but people
Don't you understand? Don't you get it?
Yes,
Okay, well,
I understand the strength of your feeling. I don't understand why you seem to have very little feeling for the people who've died on the other side.
Because it's only a fraction of the people that have died on the other side, and they have no real protection, no military, no nothing. It's totally unfair. Piers Morgan, I'm not exactly sure when this interview was from, but this is disgusting. I'm actually getting pissed off watching this.
Especially music lovers.
Because
excuse
me, because the state of Israel is, how to get it into your thick head? They're committing genocide.
Yes.
They're killing every single Palestinian. They're going to kill every Palestinian in the West Bank.
Every Palestinian.
Their dream, and their leaders have said that, is Eretz Israel. Every single bit of was once Palestine.
They're not going to kill every
Israel.
Palestinian, obviously.
Why? Oh, they're not?
No, they're not.
Well, they're trying to. Why
Well,
don't
they're trying
they
to kill every member of Hamas.
Well, what?
I personally believe, as I know you do, that I think they have the response has been massively disproportionate. And way too many Palestinian civilians have died. And because the population is half under 18, it is absolutely outrageous now that so many young people have been killed.
Same lines over and over again, Piers Morgan. Same lines over and over again. You see the same thing. When the conversation is going too pro-Zionist, you try to pull it back and feel bad for the Palestinians. When the conversation is going too pro-Palestinian, you try to pull it back to make it more Zionist, just to get views, debates, etc.
But that doesn't change the fact that 364...
You're really a man of no beliefs. And a person that doesn't stand up for anything falls for everything.
Israeli civilians
said,
and other nationalities were killed that day at a music festival. And when Bono sings a song about them and pays a tribute to them, you attack him.
They said to me, you know what he's like? And I said, yeah, I do.
What am I like?
See, he's like that. All right. This is a complete false equivalence.
I'm not making a false equivalence.
He's interrupting again.
Who are you talking to?
I'm talking to the camera. The oppressor, the state of Israel, is committing genocide on a whole people, okay? Some of the people in the prison where the genocide is being committed resisted the genocide on October the 7th. And some people in Israel were killed. And I feel for them and their families. But let's not forget where all this started. It started in May. I believe it was May. May even have been the 15th of May, 1948, at the Nakba. It's one set of people trying to steal a whole land from another set of people. When I take my stand for human rights, I'm not.
Yeah, and don't get it twisted. Everyone feels bad for the people that were killed in Israel. They're innocent people. But the conflict is between two groups of people, the country of Israel and the Palestinians. They're fighting over the land, and obviously Israel has taken over all of their land and is continuing to do so. They've taken over Gaza pretty much now, the Golan Heights. West Bank is next, and that's the truth. And everyone keeps denying it, even though this is what the Palestinians have been saying for decades. Everyone keeps denying it in the West, and it just so happens that Israel takes it over every time. And then it just becomes normalized.
Not mucking around. I'm serious about it. And I don't care what they throw at me. And we know who I'm talking about, and they are very powerful.
Well, who are you talking about?
The Israeli lobby, obviously. Actually, it's not just the Israeli lobby, it's the war machine as well. It's the war lobby.
Well, let me play you a clip. This is from a month ago. This was on your YouTube
It's not
channel.
George Galloway, is it?
No, it's from your own YouTube channel.
Okay.
It's called Resist the Genocide, and you said this.
When this is all over, Israel is going to have to apologize, not just to the Palestinians, but to the whole of the rest of the world. Say we're very sorry, we got it all completely wrong, and we are now leaving. Okay, we'll go back to Eastern Europe or the United States or wherever we came from, and leave these people, the Palestinian people whose land this is, to, if they can, rebuild and live in peace.
Well, hang on, you didn't play the rest of it.
Okay.
Well, it said, of course, any of you want to stay will be welcome to stay as citizens of this new state.
But the state, to be clear, would be Palestine.
Well, my personal opinion is that would be what it should be called. It was called Palestine up to 1948, and it could. But hang on a minute, that's an open discussion.
Well, I haven't asked a question yet.
Excuse me, stop interrupting me. I heard somebody suggest the other day it could be called the Holy Land. I actually made that suggestion some time ago, and I've been persuaded away from that idea by conversations I've had with other people. No, it's Palestine. Let's call it Palestine. But that's not my business. That's for all the people who live there to decide.
Yeah, but you say it's not your business, Roger, but with respect, when you say that all the Israelis should just up 7 million of them,
Well, hang on.
should just get up and go.
All right, let me have my say. You've just shown that out of context without showing the second half of it. Fine. I look miserable. I'm in Barbados. I'm talking to my phone. When you said that Eric said that he sees me waking up in tears, I do. I am prepared to admit that I am in tears over Gaza every morning when I wake up, because I'm only 80 years old. I have never experienced the genocide of a whole people in front of my eyes happening every day. The calumny.
Well, you have. Well, with respect, you have. You were born in World War II when there was an actual genocide of Jewish people by the Nazis.
I was that big.
What?
I was that big. I didn't witness
You were alive,
that.
is my point.
Well, but I wasn't talking about being alive. I'm saying I never witnessed it. You can't witness something.
Yeah, but 6 million Jews were killed
You
by
cannot
the
witness
Nazis.
something. Well, I'm not saying they weren't.
Right.
And was that a disgusting, awful crime? Yeah, it was. Just like this one is a disgusting, awful crime.
But my question for you...
Why doesn't Piers Morgan admit that this was also a disgusting crime? And he actually just said that, yeah, when there was an actual genocide taking place, which is to imply that right now there is no genocide taking place.
But Roger, my question for you is this. When you say that you need to have the whole world saying, we're very sorry, we got it wrong, we're now leaving, go back to Eastern Europe or the United States or wherever you came from. Do you understand how Israelis feel when they hear that?
Well, it depends which Israelis they are. And frankly, the fact is that something has to be, or would you suggest, no, let's just let them kill all the Palestinians? Why don't we just let them
I believe
kill
there should
them?
be a two-state solution.
Well, it's not going to happen, but I don't want to argue with you about
Well, nor is your plan. You're not going to have 7 million Israelis being sent back to Europe or the United States.
But you know why? Let me speak on behalf of we, the people of the world, because we, the people of the world, whatever the...
But you don't speak for the whole world, do you?
For God's sake.
Well, come on, Roger. We have a civilised conversation.
No, you can't have a civilised conversation with somebody who constantly interrupts.
Okay. Nor can you speak unfettered without me correcting some of the things you're saying or challenging you. You accept that?
Yeah, I was about to say something, and you're doing it again.
My apologies.
I accept your apology.
Thank you.
Roger Waters is actually doing a pretty good job controlling Piers Morgan. Whereas Piers Morgan does go out of control a lot in his interruptions. This is pretty amusing.
Please don't do it again, Piers. Right. Most of the people of the world do not want the Israelis to continue in their inexorable course to the end of their extermination of the indigenous people of Palestine. That's all I'm saying. So something has to happen that is not that. So if you say there are two possible alternatives, a two-state solution, and that's been on the table, let us not forget, certainly since the end of the 67 war. And let's not go back into the old stuff about, oh, well, the Palestinians turned it down. No, they don't. That is a barefaced lie.
Well, Arafat did.
No, he didn't. That is a barefaced lie. I'm not going to argue the toss with you. I know it is. If you don't know it is, you haven't yet done the read.
Oh, I have. And I've actually interviewed people like Bill Clinton who were involved in it.
Bill Clinton. Dear God. Anyway, I won't go.
You would believe Arafat over Clinton?
Of course.
Really?
Yeah. Arafat's dead, sadly. But you see, this is what I should.
I mean, real talk, I don't really know too much about Arafat, but didn't Bill Clinton lie to the United States people on live television? I don't want to go there, but come on, Piers. That's a silly question.
Get sucked into. Because the you're wrong, I'm right nature of this program is what's wrong with it. I know you think
but that
it's
isn't
what's
the nature
right
of the
with
program. It's you say something and I challenge you, and maybe you change my mind, which by the way, you might do.
It's the you're wrong, I'm right, confrontational. It's the confrontation, which is what you get. It's your clicks.
Well, why are you here?
Confrontation.
That clip that I played, when you talk about the Israelis having to go back to where they come from.
If they could apologise for what they do. Obviously,
No, but Roger, let me ask a question.
Okay.
On that point of wherever you come from, back to Eastern Europe, wherever you come from, to tell 7 million people to go back where they come from, many people would view that as racist, and in the case of Israelis, to be anti-Semitic, something you've been accused of being. Now, do you understand why they would take it that way?
Absolutely, of course I do. We have to remember that most of the population of Israel are young, much younger than me, even younger than you, if such a thing was possible. And they have been pretty well brainwashed into believing that they are superior to the other people who live there. And I have to say, the thing about Eastern Europe or Northeastern Europe and the United States, they've tried to sell us this idea that somehow they are biblical people and that God has given them the land. That's what the Christian evangelicals believe.
Well, look,
All I'm saying is that they're not indigenous people, most of them. There are a few of the Jewish people who are citizens of Israel who are indigenous to the area. But back in the 19th century, that was only 7 or 8% of the population.
Can I respond?
Yes, of course.
So ancient Egyptian records mention Israel from 1213 BC. Religious literature records Israelites as far back as 1500 BC. As far as many Jewish people are concerned, this is where they come from. Right? Within Judaism, Israel is the Holy Land. It's the land where the faith began. Jerusalem is the holy city. For Jews, Jerusalem is at the core of their faith and their world. Now, I believe you're an atheist. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So you may not understand or accept that, but that is how millions of people in Israel feel. They believe.
That's so stupid, though, because in essence, you're forcing everyone to you're forcing everyone to believe your religion. Isn't that what they kind of claim that the Muslims do? Oh my God, they're forcing others into their religion and stuff. If you're telling everyone that this is your homeland because your religion says so, and everyone around you does not believe that, then you're forcing your religion on other people, and that's not okay. And also, why do they need, I'll be honest, the Jewish homeland, America is a pretty good country, and Jewish people live a pretty good life in America. Just saying. Yeah.
This is their original Holy Land. Now, I think that the displacement of the Palestinians back in 1948 was appalling. I also think the simultaneous virtually displacement of many Jewish people from their homes was also appalling. All of it was appalling. And you can create a narrative that would be supportive of both sides and critical of the other sides.
Also, if you like this content where I take Piers Morgan long-form interviews and find the best moments in them and create them into a short video so you don't have to go on this channel and watch this whole interview, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel. And if you really want to help support this channel, a lot of my videos do get demonetized. You could go become a member and the link in the description below. It's only $2.99 a month and it really helps out. Thank you.
But there's no doubting that Jewish people believe this is their Holy Land too, in the way that many Palestinians do.
I haven't read that book, I admit, and I'm not sure I want to because I've only got a few years. Well, how many years I've got left
You're
is
doing
irrelevant.
better than the President of the United States, aren't you?
I beg your pardon?
You're doing a lot better than the President of the United States.
Yes, I am.
Your mental
But
acuity appears to be much
Anyway,
sharper.
let me finish. All of what you're saying, though, maybe it will be fascinating to historians and Jewish scholars and scholars of other religions, but it's completely irrelevant to the genocide that is going on now in the West Bank and Gaza.
But it's not irrelevant to why Jewish people, when you say
So it's not irrelevant to why they think they have a right to commit genocide.
No, I didn't say that.
Oh,
Don't
well,
misquote me.
what is
Don't
all
misquote
this
me.
stuff from Egypt?
No, I'm just going to say that, again, referring to the quote from your own mouth, when you say to 7 million people, go back to Eastern Europe or the United States or wherever you came from, many will believe, if not most of people in Israel will believe, that this is where they originally came from.
What I say in that little video is, I think you made a terrible mistake, and I think you should now say, we're sorry, it was a terrible mistake. Just look at what's happened.
I'm actually curious to know that in Israel, what population of Israelis are actually born in Israel? What population of their parents are born in Israel? And what population of them migrated there?
This is obviously a completely failed experiment. Zionism, the whole thing, is a failed experiment. And we're going to leave you to live your lives in your country. Maybe a few of us will stay, or maybe we'll all stay, but we all have to live together with equal rights from the
But this
river
new state, to be clear, would be...
Hang on. Let me finish. That's all. I.e., I'm going to keep dragging this conversation back to these two things. Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the genocide that the state of Israel is committing on the Palestinian people. And I don't care about what your history books from Egypt. I'm not saying you're wrong. I haven't read them. And frankly, I couldn't care less.
But let's go back to...
No, let's stay on the genocide. It's either right, it's either all right, or it's not. And it doesn't matter what happened in the history of the Israelites.
I'm coming to this.
Okay, good.
Let's go back to October the 7th, 2023, when the Hamas attacks occurred. George Galloway was here last week,
I saw him.
and he described them as terror attacks. Do you agree with that?
I'm not going to have this conversation. I've seen you have it with everybody, and you're. It's a waste of time.
Why?
Because you always reach the same conclusions, and you always waste 10 or 12 minutes.
Let's waste 1 minute. All I ever ask people is, do you condemn what Hamas did?
I condemn the killing of civilians, always, whoever does it, wherever it is. I condemn war crimes. If Hamas committed war crimes on October the 7th, I condemn it. You referred earlier...
say if.
Excuse me, you referred earlier to my conversation with Glenn Greenwald,
Yes.
which happened in December last year. And I was taken to task after that because on his programme, and this was only a few weeks after October the 7th, I said, I would love to know what happened on October the 7th, so that we can all have a proper... Well, the Israelis won't allow
We suggested
any
it might
investigation.
you suggested it might be a false flag operation.
Well,
Implying that Israel created
Hang on. Maybe false flag's not exactly the right word, but why did
it's obviously not the
hang
right
on.
word.
Can I finish?
Yeah, but you're wrong,
All right, never mind.
Roger. It obviously wasn't a false flag. And the reason we know that is that Hamas broadcast in real time through video to social media what they were doing. There's nothing false flag
Listen,
about it.
I'm not saying that part of the Palestinian resistance movement didn't cross...
Piers Morgan really should check out some of the videos that the Israeli IDF posts on TikTok about the stuff they're doing to the Palestinians.
that wire fence into what's called...
2,000 of them did.
Hang on, or 2,000, however many, it doesn't really matter how many it was. I'm not saying they didn't do that. I'm not saying that that didn't happen at all. What I'm saying is, there's all this talk about, does Israel have a right to defend itself? Why didn't Israel defend itself that morning? Why did they wait 7 hours before they started machine
Well, it was a
gunning
catastrophic
everyone?
failure of defence and security.
And this is the most efficient security
Yeah, it was catastrophic. That's
organisation.
why when this is over,
All right, you
done.
don't want to have that conversation, neither do I, but wouldn't it be
I just
great...
answered you what I think
Hang
happened.
on, wouldn't it be great to have that conversation at some... And wouldn't it be great if we could have an actual real investigation beyond the very good Al Jazeera documentary that we all saw that came out, and all the great work that the Grey Zone and Electronic Intifada people did in debunking all the filthy, disgusting lies that the Israelis told after October the 7th.
Like what?
About burning babies and women being raped, which were all completely...
Actually, women were raped.
No, they weren't.
Yes, they were.
Well, there's no evidence.
It's been established by the
You
United
can say
Nations.
anything that you want, but there's no evidence.
Actually, there is extensive evidence.
There is no...
From what I read and from what I understand, there is no evidence. It's just a bunch of people saying that it happened. There's no real evidence.
Sexual assault and rape. Well, there is.
Okay, well, all right, now...
Also, we know what Hamas broadcast on social media.
Calm down. Roger, calm down. Don't sink to his level. All right, I won't.
What level?
But stop shouting. Stop shouting back. Let him interrupt you as much as you want. Okay, all right. Sorry, Piers, what were you saying?
Look, let's not prolong the discussion about whether you believe what happened on October the 7th, other than me just to simply ask you.
Wouldn't it be nice to be able to look at all the evidence and come to a grown-up conclusion rather than just saying this happened or that happened? I know
Making it up.
Babe Piers, I know you believe nonsense that you're told by Zaka and other people who
Who's-
made up tons of lies about October.
Who's
7th.
Zaka? Sorry.
Oh, don't be silly.
Who is that? Who are you talking about?
You are kidding now.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Zaka. It was an organisation collecting bodies, paramedics.
I've never heard of it.
Well, you have no right to be having this conversation at all. What you have to do now, Piers, is go and look through all the documentation that there is and all the video evidence that there is of those paramedic people lying about burnt babies and rape and babies in ovens and all the atrocity stories that came out immediately
What about the
after...
ones-
Excuse me, I haven't finished. Immediately after October the 7th, that gave impetus to the idea somehow that to commit genocide on the people of Gaza would be a reasonable defense against all those atrocities, which is the story that you, among others, have tried to sell to your audience.
No, I haven't.
Oh, right,
I'll just try to get to the
I'm
facts.
sorry. I apologise for accusing
Do you believe?
Well, hang on. You need to look up Zaka. Look
Okay,
it up.
I'll look it up.
And then maybe we could have another conversation, because
Okay.
until you know that story, you know...
You seem to have killed anybody that day.
Yeah, of course I do. Yeah, and they probably kill civilians as well.
Were they
Then-
acts of terrorism?
To kill a civilian is a war crime.
Act of terror?
Well, to use the word terrorism is really dangerous and difficult, because you have to remember that people fighting on behalf of Palestine liberation have a legal and moral what's the word I'm trying to search for? Not just a right. They
Right
have
to defend themselves?
No, they have a right to fight back against the oppressor.
But they don't have a right to commit war crimes.
If somebody invades your country, kicks all your people out of their homes, steals everything and is stealing all your land and occupies all your land for 75 years, you have an absolute right to armed resistance
But not to commit war
against
crimes.
that invader.
But not to
So why is he ignoring all of Israel's war crimes all of a sudden? Israel's committed many war crimes.
commit war
No,
crimes.
I'm watching a genocide. I wake up in tears every morning.
Yeah, but people
Don't
might
you
be-
understand? Don't you get it?
Yes, states. What do you make of the state of Joe Biden, and who would be better for the world, President Trump?
Notice how he just, doesn't care about Roger Waters saying he wakes up in tears every morning. Because the Israeli attack that happened on October 7th, that was a sad day for Israelis. I get it. And a lot of innocent people died, which is a horrible thing. And, people can say they woke up in tears the next day. People have been waking up in tears every single day for over a year and a half now. Can you even imagine that? Like, how are they not comparing? Look, one side, yeah, people have died with this one day. There's a horrible attack. The other side, people have been getting attacked every single day for a year and a half. That's 500 days.
Two or Biden to get re-elected?
Neither of them. The whole system needs overhauling so that we get candidates who might be of some use. Yeah, American, even more than here, government is bought and paid for. So, it's a shame to see Biden bumbling around like he
You think
does.
he's
I'm
got-
sorry for him. And
Has he
I'm
got
sorry
dementia, do you think?
Of course he has.
Yeah.
You don't have to think that.
I agree. Do you think the Democrats should get rid of him before the election?
I don't care what they do. They're irrelevant.
Oh, wow. So this interview is very old. Wow.
Is there not a Democrat that you think would, if Bernie Sanders, for example, was to replace him, would that not be something you might agree with?
I'm not really in a position to have a conversation about who shouldn't be a candidate.
You've got a place
for
in America, though.
Democrat. Yes, I have.
Do you not have a view?
Look, if I was a mechanic and you brought in a car in about 100 pieces covered in rust and with the battery gone and whatever and said, go on then, what do you think? How do you think we should? I would say, I don't know. That's how I feel about American politics.
What's your view of
It's
Trump?
impossible.
What do you think of Trump?
Well, it's a joke, obviously. But the whole thing's a joke. How he was elected president of the United States once, and the man's a complete joke, obviously. But so what? That's their system. That's how they've managed to maintain control. It doesn't matter who's president.